Two key games in Super Rugby this final round, folks, to decide who would sneak into that final sixth spot into the playoffs. Would it be the Blues? Would it be the Tars? Or potentially even Moana Pasifika? Well, it's going to be my Blues. It's the least kind of convincing record of any of the teams in the playoffs. Now that the final six have been decided, the Blues will be the only team going into the playoffs with a negative record in terms of their pure wins and losses, but they make it in with a pretty emphatic win over the Tars. Remember, whoever won this game was going to put themselves at least temporarily into that sixth spot, so it was important for the Blues, if possible, to try and get themselves a bonus point, because their Moana Pasifika were going to have to equal whatever result they got. And the Blues got it pretty emphatically. They dominated the possession. They dominated the territory. And some of their key guys who were playing their final game for the Blues at Eden Park put in big shifts. You get a try early for Talea. He gets a second one later on as well. Not quite able to get the hat-trick that Rico gets in this game. But it's 5 tries from those two guys, plus one through Evans, and even Ricky Riccatelli, who's likewise in his final game for the Blues at Eden Park. He gets over the whitewash too. They even kick a penalty to Harry Plummer at the end because it's his final game for the Blues at Eden Park. So a fitting send-off for a bunch of these guys. The Tars, throughout this game, able to kick 2 penalties. Like I say, they coughed up too much ball. The Blues, with Bodie Barrett pulling the strings, putting these dinking kicks through, were causing their backfield all kinds of problems. It's a pretty emphatic victory for the Blues. 46 points to 6. That was the bonus point they needed. I mean, Talea had 4 defenders beaten. Gleeson had 5, and a pretty decent effort for the Waratahs, but ultimately they'll be disappointed they didn't even get close. In this one, the line breaks is 10-3. So the Blues carving up, which is worthy of a note because the Blues haven't been doing that this season. Very rarely this season have we seen the Blues put in a kind of dominant performance. So as a Blues fan, that was pretty pleasing to see. I still think they are massive underdogs against the Chiefs next week, but maybe that gives the Chiefs at least a moment's hesitation. I feel like the Chiefs would have rather played the Tars or would have rather played Moana, seeing as the hiding they inflicted them just last week. And speaking of hidings for Moana, Artie couldn't lift the team to another result. I mean, you feel like, and a number of people have said it, maybe Moana Pasifika played their final against the Blues a couple of weeks ago. So getting that one extra win is just a bridge too far. It's been a good season for them in terms of, being on the cusp of the playoffs. But 2 final games, 2 big hidings. It's 64 points to 12. It is... some of the tries that the Canes guys scored are just pure missed tackles. It's a rough way to see them. Devry opened the scoring for the Canes, but Tailoa had the initial score for Moana Pasifika, so they did have the early lead, but it did not take Hurricanes long to reply. So it went from 7-0 to Moana to 35-7 before we saw the next Moana score. So it was a bunch of tries to the Canes. Flanders, who showed that he can also do a wee chip and gather. So it's not just Artie Savia who's got a lock on that. 4 loose forwards. Roygaard got an intercept. Peter Umaga-Jensen got a couple. He was busting tackles like mad. How he was doing that just seemed... you give the Moana guys a bit of critique on their tackles, but he was just very, very hard to stop. Tupu. Rakete Stones is one is well worthy of a highlight watch if you haven't seen it. That try is bonkers. Loose ball, offloads, chucking it around like an under-9s game. And then Rakete Stones, the big prop, is putting the hammer down to go over from close range. Proctor, Inari, and then Clark on debut. TJ Clark. Artie Savia got 1 in reply for the Moana lads. But honestly, it was a pretty tough day at the office for them. They had a yellow card, which got pretty rightly punished as well. Probably could have been a red, that one, but they ruled that there wasn't enough kind of contact going through the head. It was more through the shoulder that it remained a yellow. It was a pretty bad clean out from Paul there, but yeah, man. At half time, the Canes had 62% possession and 65% territory. Moana had 5 turnovers, one of which 3 were Artie. So he was trying to hold them on, but then you win a couple of turnovers just to give away an intercept try to Roygaard. it's pretty deflating. They finished the game with 60% possession and territory, 9 line breaks to 3. Pete Umaga Jensen had 9 defenders beaten. Proctor had 7. Savia finishes the game with 4 turnovers, 1 and a try. But he is just one man in a 23-man game. So that lines us up for the playoffs. The Blues will travel to Hamilton to play the Chiefs. They are the underdogs of all underdogs going into that one. But hopefully it's an interesting game. Chiefs have had a few injuries. Blues have got it all to play for. Chiefs have got an extra life. Even if they lose that one, they will not be knocked out. So is there a wee chance of the Chiefs getting a bit complacent? I don't think so, but stranger things have happened in sports. And for Moana, sadly, it's and for the Tars, really, disappointing end to the season for them. But yeah, we'll see how both sides can do next year. You guys let us know your thoughts on both these games. There is still the Drua to play the Reds. It's the final game of the final round, but that one is not going to have any effect on the final standings. Chiefs are locked in first, Crusaders second, Brumbies third, and then for the away teams, Hurricanes fourth, Reds will be fifth, and the Blues just sneak into sixth. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.